Hi, this is Don, and I'm an old school kind of guy. Now today I want to just run across a whole bunch of miscellaneous topics. This is not a shout out, but Inquisitive Fish Guy is one of my favorite channels to watch. And one day he commented, and it's been a couple weeks and I've just never gotten around to saying it, but he commented on how I had changed the banner across the top of my YouTube page in Google Plus, whatever. Yeah, I don't really know how to use Google Plus, but okay. He's right, I did. I put a banner up there. And I want to thank Aquanut Mike for providing that picture for me. Well, I guess that's two shout outs. Two of my favorite people though, so what do I care? I like the banner, and I think it almost makes me look good. Every once in a while I run into another old school kind of guy on YouTube. They don't present themselves as old school guys, but sometimes their videos come across that way, and sometimes they actually approach me about it. A couple times I've approached them about it. One of the things I really like is just reminiscing with them about the old school days. I enjoy those discussions. I know obviously that I'm not the only old school kind of guy out there. That's just the orientation of my approach to the YouTubes. One in particular was talking about the old school HOBs. That's hang on the back filters. We didn't call them HOBs back then, or at least I never heard that term. We called them hang on the back filters. Anyway, he said, you remember in the old days we had that great big ugly box with that great big intake tube and the powerful pump that just blew the water out into the tank. And I laughed and said, yeah, I actually had one of those. I remember it. He doesn't like the modern HOBs because they're kind of pathetic and puny compared to that one he and I had back then. And that one, very typically, we put in some polyfill in this compartment, and in this compartment we put in a bag of charcoal, and once a month or so we'd pull out the polyfill, throw it away, pull out the bag of charcoal, throw it away, put in new charcoal, put in new polyfill, boom, filter's done. And I can just hear all the modern fish keepers saying, but you're throwing away all your beneficial bacteria. Well, I really wasn't an expert on beneficial bacteria back then. I hadn't heard that term either. But what I do know today, better than I did back then, is that beneficial bacteria doesn't just live on your biomedia. They aren't programmed to say, oh, this is not biomedia, I can't live here. Beneficial bacteria and non-beneficial bacteria are everywhere. They're everywhere. They're on the glass, they're on your substrate, they're on your rocks, they're on your wood, they're on your plants, they're on your fish, the bodies even. They're on the polyfill, we get that. Beneficial bacteria are everywhere. So you throw out your filter media. Yeah, you're throwing away a lot of beneficial bacteria, I get it. But I've said it many times, I'll keep saying it. Back in the old school days, we did not keep as many fish in a tank as people do today. Some of these tanks today, it's no wonder they're afraid to throw away their filter material. Goodness sakes. They got so many fish in there per square inch of media that I would think they'd be afraid to wash their media. My 125 right now, for about 3 months now, has been running with 4 sponge filters that are about this tall that have air bubbling through them. And I spend half my life trying to get them to stick to the glass, but they keep breaking loose and floating back up to the top. And I'll wait a couple days and then I'll go stick them. And I'm not losing fish, people. I'm not losing fish. Why? Well, I do have a couple of power heads that provide some nice water movement, one at each end. You know, I don't have my tanks overloaded. My filter material, who cares? I actually have a HOB on that 125. Oh, it's a good one. Powerful. I paid some good money for that. I paid $100. Well, not quite. I was up there. Don't remember exactly, but it's a good one. It worked for me for 8 months. And then it stopped. So I unplugged it. Couldn't get it to restart. Threw out the filter material. Threw out the intake tube. And one of these days I'll get around to throwing it away. It's been down for 2-3 months. And all I have left is those 2 power heads and those 4 little tiny sponge filters. They're about 3 inches tall and about 2 inches wide. That's all I got. Okay. Speaking of biomedia, I have a couple of nice big canisters. I like them. Don't have either one hooked up right now. I got to get around to that. But they come with these trays in them. You know what I mean. If you've got canister filters, you know it. If you don't have canisters and you've never watched an unboxing or a how to set them up, you should. Both of mine they're about the same size, 2 different manufacturers. Don't care which ones. I don't mention manufacturers unless I'm really sold on them or really hate them, because none of them support me, and I haven't asked any of them to, so I don't care. Anyway, so what do? We take a new canister filter and we put in our foam to filter out all the big junk. Yep, I get that. And then we put in a tray, and maybe it's got lava rock. It's a good biomedia. And then the next tray has got ceramic rings, another good biomedia. And the next tray has got bio balls. Designed for trickle filters, works great in the canister, HOB. I love them, so I'll put them in there if I have some around. And then the next tray, maybe I put in my favorite biomedia of all time, pot scrubbers. 6 for $1 at the dollar store. I've got dozens of those. So every tray has got their own. I do it. We all do it. I get a kick out of it. Because did you know that if you put this quarter of your tray with lava rock and this quarter with ceramic rings and this quarter with bio balls and this quarter with pot scrubbers, and you did that with every tray going up, and it still worked just the same, the water doesn't choose a path based on, oh my, I've already been through ceramic rings, so now I need to go through some lava rock. Which way to the lava rock? No, the water just flows through. The filter material is just there to help encourage beneficial bacteria to live there. That's why you want something with a lot of surface area. It doesn't matter if the biomedias are touching. It doesn't matter if all the water doesn't go through this biomedia. But if you watch us set up our canisters, and like I say, guilty, but if you watch us do that, you got to think we either have a lot of OCD or we sure don't understand how bacteria and water and yeah. Okay, so that was my chuckle number 1. Oh, and speaking of which, I put lava rock underneath the back corners on my 125 and on one of my 55s, because I like to slope the tank from the back corners and from the back towards the front. And I usually trust in plants to hold the gravel or sand from sliding forward. Now, in the old days I used only gravel, and it didn't slide as much. These days I vastly prefer sand for my Cory cats that like to dig. I've learned that sand travels to the front much faster than gravel or almost anything else. So I put lava rock underneath the sand. Now it still slides to the front. Then the lava rock becomes exposed. So I can either scoop some sand from the front and dump it in back, or I can add some more sand right back there. Somebody will say, well, you got lava rock exposed. Yeah, I can see that. You know, it's my tank. I watch it. I've got eyes. I see that lava rock there. What's the big deal? Well, why do you have it there? Well, so that my sand has not 6 inches of sand. I don't like that. Sand compresses, and gas forms underneath sand better than it does other media types or other substrate types. And they said, well, then why don't you keep sand over the lava rock? Well, because it works its way forward. Well, then is the lava rock doing any good? Well, yeah, bacteria can live on exposed lava rock as well as buried lava rock. And I use lava rock because I like it. It works for bacteria, and it's cheap, and I can pile it up there. Sand trickles down through it. I get that. I don't understand what the big deal is. Did you know that the plants actually kind of like that lava rock? Because all that bacteria down there, the plants get down in there, and you know how I know they like it? Because they wrap their roots around that lava rock, and you can't pull them out without wow, that's a big chunk of lava rock. All right, that was an extra. Let's see. I did it again. I tend to talk off the top of my head. I actually gave you my second chuckle, the one about all the different media types, before I gave you my first chuckle, which was about the sand and so forth. So, I don't know. I talk off the top of my head, and I use that that's a nice way of saying that sometimes I forget something. Sometimes I forget to say something. Sometimes I forget to not say something. Either one can be equally dangerous to a speaker. I publish a video and then I look at it and say, oh, I forgot to say this. I look at a video and I publish and I say, why did I say that? Oh, well, sometimes I don't even realize my mistake or addition or subtraction until somebody else comments on it. I guess that's more embarrassing, but it doesn't bother me. So, folks, I'd say just read the comments. Sometimes somebody else, I've said this before, sometimes somebody else will make a comment that you can learn from. I got some smart people that watch what I have to say. I know they're smart because sometimes they tell me when I'm wrong. Maybe you're one of those guys. Maybe you're one of those gals that can correct me. Hey, and then you can go on your channel and say, hey, that old school fish guy, he screwed up and I told him right. And you can quote me on that. You got the right to say that. Okay, one last comment, and I forget who said this. It's not somebody that I've had a lot of talking with on YouTube, but he asked me why in my comments or when I comment on somebody else's, I always spell thanks, T-A-N-K-S, tanks. He's the first one that said that, and I've been doing that for, what is it now? This is 22 months. Why do I do that? I don't know. Felt like it. When I first started, I felt like it. Seemed like a good thing to me, so I kept on doing it. That's kind of like the way I do my fish. I do it my way. If you don't like it, that's your problem. I don't mind algae on the grass. I got a lot of sucker mouth fish in there. You don't like algae on the glass? I get it. I understand. For my 2 or 3 goldfish friends, I'm actually thinking about putting 3 goldfish in a 55-gallon, standard 55-gallon. Never really done goldfish. Yeah, I had some I won at the fair in the little tiny bowls. Never kept them alive. But I'm thinking about actually doing goldfish in a 55. They'll sit right there at the end of the living room here, and some are going to say, I don't like the way you did that tank. Okay, I did it my way. Sing with Frank Sinatra and do it your way. Not his, not mine, yours. That's the way we have the most fun, and that's what it's about, right? So have fun. Bye.